Myanmar's military has been accused of killing at least 30 people from the Karenni minority in the country's east. Witnesses say the victims were killed while trying to flee fighting between the army and resistance groups. Aid group Save the Children says 2 of its members were caught up in the violence and are still missing. Their vehicle was found burnt out along with dozens of charred corpses. For more, I'm joined by the Deputy Asia Director of Human Rights Watch, Phil Robertson, who's currently in Bangkok. Phil, the military says it was targeting armed terrorists, but these people are thought to have been civilians. Why were they targeted?
They're clearly in the wrong place at the wrong time. These were, as far as we can tell, civilians fleeing fighting in other areas. They were trying to get to safety. And obviously they ran into a group of Myanmar soldiers who decided actually to use them essentially as target practice. It is astonishing. This is yet another instance of likely crimes against humanity committed by the Myanmar military. It's outrageous. It's unacceptable.
Now, to Save the Children, staff also got caught up in that and then remain missing. The organisation now says it's going to suspend its operations in Myanmar. Is the country getting too dangerous for NGOs to operate in?
Well, I think that in these areas where the Myanmar military is basically unleashed, where they are basically sent into the ground to fight against anyone, they are treating civilians as basically targets. This is part of their standard operating procedure. And unfortunately, this has happened in many places before. For international NGOs operating in the area, there is great need for assistance and support for persons who have been displaced by fighting, who are internally displaced persons. Every group is going to have to make their own call.
Of course. And in terms of your organisation, are you able to say whether or not Human Rights Watch are able to still be working in the country?
Well, certainly we're working in the country, but we've returned to the sort of operational profile that we had during previous military regimes, where, if someone pops up and says, "Hi, I'm working for Human Rights Watch," they're going to be arrested. So we're required, like many other human rights groups, to operate underground. And this is increasing the profile of many Myanmar journalists as well, that they are facing arrest simply for doing their jobs. This is why the situation is getting so much worse. We're just seeing the military using all various tactics without any concern for the rights abuses they're committing.
This is perhaps $1 million question and one that you may not be able to answer, but it's getting so much worse, as we've seen, as you just said. Where is this headed, Phil? I mean, what needs to be done? What can be done?
Well, the international community really needs to step up because the situation is headed downhill. We're going to see more tit-for-tat violence between the military, which is trying to use force to reassert its control, versus a nationwide movement of resistance against them. So the international community has to get into this. They have to play their part. And this is why we've repeatedly called for action at the UN Security Council for an international arms embargo against the Myanmar military, and why we're calling for decisive sanctions against both military and their businesses and various different state enterprises like the Myanmar Oil and Gas Enterprise, which is putting money into the coffers of the Myanmar military.
All right, a precarious situation indeed. Phil Robertson from Human Rights Watch, thanks very much.
Thank you.